Mike, I'm sure you said you're at last week's game. Are you coming to this week's game?
No, we won't. We end our season on our game got pushed back. Our high school game got pushed back to Saturday. And won't have the opportunity to make it down there for the game. I would love to come down, but gonna be watching it on TV this weekend.
Now, where are you coaching? Who you coach for?
I coach for Winton Woods High School in Cincinnati.
I have not heard of that, but that's because I'm used to hearing of Elder or Moeller or those
teams that we in the past have played and beaten. It's funny. Our running back from 2 years ago was the starting running back at Ohio State until he got hurt. Myron Williams. He played for me. Yeah, so it's I'm looking forward to it. I always look forward to that game. I know when I was in college, that was it for the guys from Ohio, either because they didn't get recruited to Ohio State or they just wanted to beat Ohio State. And, during the time that, I was there, we had the opportunity to beat them. We tied 1 year, and it's coming back, and dealing with, guys that, went to Ohio State, being able to have that bragging right is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Not only that, they could use the jump start because what that would do for the season would be unbelievable.
Right.
Because they've got 6 games left. Indiana has 6 games left. And it's just mathematics. They have to win 4 of those to become bowl eligible. So you win a game you're not supposed to win, man, that gives you a little breathing room because right now their backs are against the wall because you start counting games. You look at them and you're like, all right, you got Ohio State. You got to go to Michigan. You got Maryland, Rutgers, Minnesota, and Purdue. Those are 4 games that you should be able to win. But Purdue's looking good. Obviously, a lot better last week with an upset win over Iowa. Maryland is looking better, as I said in the last segment. Rutgers is trying, but they're still Rutgers. And Minnesota is going to – but at least that game's at home. But everybody's getting better. And so you have to get better as well. And the offense has kind of been stymied a bit with the quarterback change, and even there wasn't a lot of production before that. But what have you seen, Mike Middleton, is the reason for that? What is the big things that jumped out to you?
Well, the biggest thing is that a guy that if he'd applied for the draft last year, he would have been maybe a 4th round draft pick, maybe 3rd. And this guy, from everything that I've been hearing in the past, wouldn't drop a pass in practice if they were just throwing the ball around. And I've seen him drop more passes this year, the UC game, than, I've ever heard of him dropping it. So for me, as a high school coach, things that we talk about with our kids to get to that level is your concentration, your focus on the little things. And I think that more than anything, especially watching them this week, is that a little of the focus has been gone. They've had some key defensive guys miss games because of, hits and things like that. And depending on the defense, the defense can only do so much. And in the last segment, I heard you ask, you asked Derrick about, do guys get frustrated? They do. The key is the leadership, gathering them together and understanding you have to win the game in all 3 phases. You can't depend on one because everybody's not going to be clicking at the same time. So special teams has to do their part. The defense has to do their part. And evidently the offense has to do their part. Right now we're struggling. We don't have our all-world quarterback playing now. We have another guy in, and it's the next guy up. But everybody else that has been playing, that hasn't been out, that hasn't been lost to injury, they don't have to play a Superman game, but they have to play their best version of their game. And I think that's where on the outside we're having issues. And I don't think that we're leaning on that offensive line enough in the running game. I think we get out and we, because, we throw the pick 6 last week and we're up 3-0. Now we're down 7-3. we start trying to throw the ball versus get into that 21 personnel, the 2 tight ends and the 1 running back, and let's see if that, Michigan State's quarterback, I think it was 27, linebacker 27. He's probably as big as my son, and my son plays free safety. Let's run the ball at this guy. Let's see if they can stand up and build some confidence, especially when you're on your side of the 50. I thought a lot this week. We played behind the sticks. We didn't play on schedule. And once we got behind, it was throw, throw, throw. And now, as a defensive guy, I'm sitting back and all I'm doing is going for the ball. I'm not even worried about what you're doing. I'm just being a ball hawk at that point.
Right.
That sounds like a coach talking to us right there. Dead up, straight on.
He's spot on.
Like,
with that.
any aspirations for college coaching to move up, or are you happy staying where you are and
for me, I've always, told our kids that, this is where my purpose is at in life. Not my job, but dealing with them here before it becomes an absolute business. I think at the college level, at the pro level, is such a business, and your money is tied to it. And I think people do things, because of that. For me, this year, it's my son's senior year. I literally came back to coach, and I volunteered. I'm volunteering my time. So I love it at the high school level. I think that the kids at that point, they're in the midst of either, seeing their dream come to fruition, or that point of learning what they're actually, what is my goal? What do I really want to do? And I enjoy that aspect of it, At some point I thought about college, but, once I got into coaching high school and, just the working with the kids, that 15 to 18-year-old kid, the one that comes in that could barely lift the bar, leaving out, benching over 300 pounds and seeing the confidence grow, there is where where my lane is.
Absolutely.
Well, that sounds like you don't have a job. I mean, because you love what you're doing.
Right.
That's what someone says, find something you love and you'll never
work.
Have to work for a living. Right. And
now that
is so true.
That's not the case. I am working for a living, trust me.
So I got a job.
Hey, trust me, I spend more money on them than I've ever made from them. So,
That's how it is in high school coaching, high school football. I did it for 8 years, so I understand. I mean, you become mom, dad, sister, brother, pastor, counselor. You're everybody, man. You wear a lot of hats at the high school level, man.
Man, listen to me. I got another kid has been living with us for 2 years because of just issues. The kid was just dealing with too many adult issues at 16 years old, and we brought him into our house before the pandemic and everything, and now he's a part of us now, and this has been for the last 20 years. At some point in time, we've had a kid come and have to live with us or have to spend time with us and things like that, and or we don't have we're not the private school. We are a public county school, and our kids don't get cars at 16 or 17. They're piling in whoever has a vehicle to get back and forth or walking to the school. Just feeding them, getting them to doctor's appointments, and just being a parent, basically. Being an extended parent is basically what it's been.
And how much did you take from football? And I'm not talking about the X's and the O's, because there's the statement. It's not about the X's and O's, but it's about the something and Jimmy and Joe's.
Jimmy's and the Joes, yeah. You know what?
But
I think for me, from the very day that I started playing football, and I was 6 years old when I started, I've been so fortunate to have some of the greatest leaders as coaches. High school, college with Coach Mallory, being able to play for Jimmy Johnson, being able to play with Don Shula, just some of the greatest coaches and leaders of men. And then, you know, coming in at a time where, you know, we had senior leadership and the juniors, you know, it wasn't trying to sabotage you, but trying to teach you. I don't know, you know, my relationship with Derrick, when I was coming up, he didn't have to take me under his wing. You know, he didn't have to tell me, hey, show me, hey, this guy, because Derrick was the guy when I got to IU. You know, he was a fraternity guy. He was a representation of everything that it was, you know, to be a college athlete. And I had a chance to look at it, and he didn't, you know, it wasn't like, oh, well, you're not in my fraternity or you're coming to, you know, replace me or something like that. It was like, come on, little guy, let me show you what it's going to be, you know. And for me, that's what it's been about, always giving back. Right. That's the greatest thing football has given me is life lessons. Coach Mallory's whole thing was, hey, man, you better strap that chin strap up a little bit tighter, bite down a little bit harder on that mouthpiece, and you got to get it done.
Yes,
you
sir.
got to get it done. You can't walk away from it. Whether you want to do it or you have to do it, it's got to get done. Right. And it's your responsibility to get it done. Now with the way we practice, you know, from down patrol to the run test, things have changed so much, you know, and I have to, you know, a lot of times with our kids, you know, it's remembering, hey, this isn't that generation. Right. This isn't, you know, these kids, their expectations are still to be successful, but in a different way. You know, right. Back in the day, you tell a kid, hey, I want you to run through that wall. And you look around and say, okay, that wall, you don't ask, well, why am I running through that wall? Now is, well, why am I doing this? How's this going to benefit? Yeah. And back then it was, we're not getting into all that. I just need you to run through that wall. And it was, you know, just that blind faith. All right, I'm going to run through this wall so we can get this done. You know, I think Coach Allen has a heck of a job and has done a heck of a job just from the expectation part of it. Because for a long time, you know, there's a gap in Indiana football where it wasn't even no expectation. Oh, they're not going to win. Oh, the expectation is now built. And I think once you get the expectation, then the work and the results will come. You know, I think they're taking a step back this year. I think it's still going to land us some good recruits. I think the transfer portal is going to be something that's going to be very beneficial for them because of the style of coach he is. I think he's going to be able to get, you know, more seasoned players to come to Indiana, which then is going to turn into bigger wins for IU.
I agree. And the thing is, we talked about they're just as close. The defense is elite. It's just offensively, they've been off enough, but they've got to build up. They've got to get depth. Depth is something that Indiana has fought for 1,000 years, it seems like. And now with the transfer portal, that's a lot easier to satisfy that. I don't think they brought anyone in on the offensive line when they brought any transfers. All the transfers that came in were mostly offensive. There were a couple of defensive guys. But, Ryder Anderson was a great He came in. He's Ty Fryfogel's cousin. Came in from Ole Miss. I think there were two guys that came in from Ole Miss right after they played against Indiana in the bowl game last year. Now that was ironic to beat Indiana in the bowl game and then transfer there.
But see, again, for these kids now, it's for these young men now, the transfer portal. Okay, I've seen it. I've seen what their program is. It was something about IU. Like I said, I fell in love with the school on a Wednesday driving down. Like driving down, coming through Brown County, before I even got to really meet with Coach Mallory, I decided back then, on that ride up with my parents, like, hey, this is where I want to be at. And it's something about Coach Allen that I believe that will attract those guys to come here. And I think once that happens a little bit more, again, weight room is the great divider, between those guys that are elite and good, with the offensive line. Because again, you take Clemson. Clemson is having issues with that offensive line. That offense isn't producing. They're not winning like they were. The only constant has been Alabama. Georgia, they're always talked about, and then at the end they fizzle out. So confidence with them is all right. Well, let's wait and see. I just think that again, when we were in school, that was the focus. We focused on our offensive line. We were lucky enough for the time that I was there to have some of the greatest running backs to ever play college football. And then we had some guys. We had some workers on defense. We had some blue collar guys on defense that took it personal when they said that we couldn't stop a team. And, that's kind of the mentality, I think, for Indiana to be successful,
Hey, Jim, you want to hear something funny? I'm going to tell you something real quick, Mike and Jim. When I was getting recruited in high school, I get a letter from Indiana. I look at it, it says Indiana. So I told my high school coach, I said, hey, coach, listen, I don't play basketball. I play football. And I didn't realize Indiana had a football program.
Right.
But this is the kind of impact that Coach Mallory had during his time.
Well, you were right, Derrick. Before you guys got here, they didn't.
Yeah, I know. Because I'm like, man. I know this is not Bobby Knight. Bobby Knight doesn't have. I can Bobby Knight have an interest in a guy that doesn't even play basketball. But and talking about, fast forward now, he has that same kind of impact. So that's why I'm telling you, and that's why Mike said they've got the right guys in that program to win football games. I'm telling you right now, because Coach Mallory, listen again. When I got there, IU hadn't been to a bowl game. Next year, 4 years in a row. And then you go into a place like a hostile recruiting environment like Ohio, up there where Mike Middleton from. You don't get those guys that easily from Ohio like you do from anywhere else, man. They go to Ohio State. That's where they go.